the National Visa Center does stuff on its own. It just changes the rules without announcing it to anybody. Two major things they've done is they're requiring tax transcripts now instead of the tax return itself, which kind of makes sense because, it's funny, right when that happened, I had some guy call me asking, could I just make up a tax return and send it to USCIS or the NVC so I looked like I'm making more money for the affidavit support requirement? And I'm like, no, I don't even know you're asking on the phone something illegal. Of course you can't do that. But I'm assuming that probably does happen. They'll catch people. So now they require you to get the tax transcript. It's not necessarily too complicated to get, which is you go to the IRS website, type in tax transcript IRS, and it goes to the page for the IRS website. And you could download your tax transcript. Now, logging in, the security procedure is kind of annoying, and sometimes it doesn't work, so you have to have it mailed to you. And I had a client who waited months and didn't get it, so they had to call and jump through a lot of hoops until they could finally get it. But you can get the IRS tax transcripts, and it's required by the National Visa Center now. Also, if you do file a tax return, or a client does, and they amend it afterwards, like I had one client who didn't list everything they should have, so I had told them to go amend their tax return and correct it. Once it was corrected, it wasn't reflected on the tax transcript. The tax transcript apparently only reflects the first filing with them, not the second or third one or any amendments that is you do with them for that year. So if that happens, in that case, we notified the embassy of the issue that there was no in that kind of case, we had sent it with tax returns, and then the embassy requested tax transcripts, and we got that, but we told them it doesn't reflect the amendment, but we gave the amendment and gave copies of pay stubs and everything to prove that there was income, but just a mistake, an error on the tax return, and it was approved. But that's something important to keep in mind. Also, with regards to the National Visa Center consular processing, the switch is happening for non-paper-based and online upload-based consular processing paperwork. And the difficulties that creates is they're very specific as to various features when you're uploading stuff. So the size of the document has to be less than 2 megabytes, which is really difficult. I have marriage certificates like from Iran that are like 15, 20 pages. And so, bringing that down to size creates a lot of additional work. Also, if the pages don't perfectly fit, if a side of like one part of it is somewhat cut off or somewhat crooked or it's sideways, they don't accept that. Everything has to be right side up and in the proper order that they feel is correct, or else they're not going to accept it. So that becomes a big headache because you have to keep going back and forth with them until they accept it. Now, when uploading those documents, try to separate the tax return for the W-2 and have a separate upload option for the W-2s itself. And finally, if you have something that doesn't exist or you don't have on hand, for example, police certificates. Some countries' police certificates are not accepted by the Department of State, so it's not required. But in National Visa Center website, it'll ask you to upload those. So what you can do is upload a page, a blank page that you type on it that says, this country doesn't need police reports or police certificates according to the visa reciprocity chart. Or with the option, when they ask for passport photos, you write, we'll bring the passport photos to the embassy. I mean, you could always scan that passport photo and upload it too, so they have it like that. But if you don't have it handy, or the person's just going to get it when they do the interview, you write a letter and say, please note that the passport photos are coming at the time of the embassy interview, so let the case go through, and that'll work. So that's some consular processing tips that are going to come in handy at a practical side.